Welcome to Attleboro Update. There has been an increased concern in recent weeks because of a rash of deck and porch collapses locally and nationally. Building experts have said that the collapses may be happening because of the deterioration of decks that were built following older construction codes. A recent deck collapse in South Attleboro has prompted Attleboro Building Inspector Doug Semple to warn homeowners that older decks should be inspected for safety. We spoke with him to find out more about the causes of these collapses and what residents can do to fix potential problems.
The deck situation started when we had a collapsed deck down in South Attleboro. And the inspector went down, one of my field inspectors, Fred Bray, who was actually also my plans examiner, went down and took a look at the deck and realized that the deck was nailed to the siding, not actually with the siding cut out and nailed to the framing. It was nailed to the siding. Now, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, that was the industry standard. Some contractors would nail it right to the framing, flash over it, and other contractors would nail it right to the siding. That was an accepted industry standard back then. The only problem is when you nail it to the siding, it leaves an opening in the top where water can get in, debris can get in, keeps the moisture in there. That ends up rotting the siding, rotting the sheathing of the house, and in some cases rusting the nails. So a lot of times galvanized nails were used and they would last a lot longer. Once the siding and once the framing starts getting rotted, there's no holding power for the nail. Basically the deck is up against the house and the nail is, if you take the 1.5-inch ledger, the 5/8 siding, the 1/2-inch sheathing, you've only got 7/8 of an inch to an inch left of nailing into the framing, and that just isn't enough to hold the load of the deck. On top of that, water will get in there during the winter. And when that happens, the water freezes and it expands and it pushes the deck away. And because they're nails and not screws or bolts, lags or bolts, it pulls the nails right out. Since that collapse, we've had a couple of other people who have called, when we did the article in the paper, people who have called, and we've gone out and looked at their decks. We've actually condemned 2 decks. Exact same thing, nailed on the siding, it was pulling away. One of the inspectors could look right up in between the ledger board and the siding and see light, and you don't want that. So we're dealing with those right now. The first thing they do is they hire a professional. They hire a construction supervisor, somebody licensed in the state of Mass, that will come out and take a look at their deck and give them a price on how to fix the deck. In some cases, because of the way the decks are built, the decks are going to come down and they're going to be rebuilt. In other cases, it may be just a matter of if the wood behind the ledger isn't rotted, it may be a case of just putting some through bolts or some ledger in, some through bolts or lags in, or they could be putting galvanized hangers on the ledger to support the joists that are pulling away. What they need to do is go out and take a look at the deck, or hire a professional to look at their deck and look for these type of issues. There have been decks on houses that I have seen that are in good shape that are 150 years old. And it's because they're properly maintained. Maintenance is a key issue. It's no different than your vehicle. You change the oil every 3,000 miles, right? You paint your house, you change the roof, you fix a water heater. There's maintenance on everything, and decks require maintenance. If you don't paint, if you don't seal, and if you're letting water get in, it's gonna rot. So it's a maintenance issue, no question. You should be looking at it every year. You do maintenance on your house every year. If you don't, then the house doesn't look like what it did when it was built. The permit fee is a base $30 permit fee, which is a great insurance policy to make sure your deck doesn't collapse. If people are doing work on their deck, they come into our office. There's an application to fill out. It's very easy. It's a $30 permit fee. They get the permit. We approve what they're doing. That's our first look at what they're doing, to make sure that what they're doing is going to structurally be okay for that renovation. Then once they're done, we go out and we do an inspection. We're going to get a look at the deck as it exists, and we'll make notes as far as if there are other things wrong with the deck. The inspector is going to catch that. In the particular case in South Attleboro, the gentleman had done renovations on the deck without a permit. And part of that is part of the problem of why that deck collapsed. Had he pulled the permit, Had we been out there and taken a look at that deck, we would have seen that it was coming away from the house. Our phone number in the office is 508-223-2222, and the extension is 3251. And we do have a website, and there is a link to email, and the link for the email is inspection office, all one word, all small letters, no spaces, inspection office at cityofattleboro.us.